very, very shaky, not looking like a team that's synergized well after the player break between the two seasons with the new roster. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think this is I wouldn't say a good test for Endpoint. Funny story, actually. Last season, PMC actually beat Endpoint when Endpoint were 13-4 up on Cobblestone, and PMC came back to win that one. But I don't think Endpoint are going to let that game slip. It's Cryptic's playing, and Robin as well. So no Jonathan Shiki and no Thomas. So that's very interesting to see already.
When you talk about that comeback from 13-4, was that a fluke as well?
It was like the last week of the season. I think Endpoint already guaranteed the qualifying spot, so potentially.
Yeah, that's fair enough now. And as you can see, Endpoint have gone flying straight onto the B site, and PMC are trying to make that rotate, but so far Robin's really doing a good job keeping him back at the moment. It seems that now he's waiting for just to make that peak to at least try and bait him into coming out, but sadly for him, Crit does take him out. And it seems like now MyMax does get another one of his own. And just like that, Endpoint win that pistol round.
Can we just say from the get-go, if you're going to join the server and play in a professional league, do not have a ridiculous name.
And which name was that?
Take a look at the CT side, bottom left player.
Funny enough, I actually noticed that name when I watched last week, and I was like...
Is it the same name last week?
Oh, yes.
Jeez.
That's actually Leroy, just to let you know.
Leroy, Well, he's hard, isn't he? He's proper hard, isn't he? Yeah.
He is. And I don't know if that's as expected of him, but anyway, he's pushing on. As you can see now, Cryptix has actually got control of mid at the moment. Harris, he is underneath, and seems like now they will be pulling back, trying to make that play for short, but Lazar does almost get one of his own, does manage to get Leroy in the end anyway. That was close. And I think you literally
saved it.
You say that, yeah, that was a good save. I'm not even going to lie about that. And it seems like now, does manage to get behind it, but look at this now. So far, Endpoint 3-2 in favour.
Man advantage, as you said. 3 versus 2. As Endpoint scurry away back towards T-spawn, coming in towards the A site now as they slow the pace of the round down, walking in towards A ramp. Potentially anticipating a player still here from PMC, but a blessing in disguise as there is no one defending the A site from PMC. Emin and Crit, they take their chances, they risk stacking towards the B site as it is the 2 versus 3. But unfortunately, rock, paper, scissors. And didn't go in their favour here, Lethal, as the bomb is planted towards the A site. Seems like a round here for Endpoint.
That is definitely so, and Endpoint got A site absolutely free of charge and no problems at all. And as you can see, PMC in a really bad spot at the moment. It's just seeing if they can potentially find a way. But I think they will be saving at the moment. Just get ready for next round. Absolutely no point trying to take that risk. Trying to make a bit, because as you can see, Endpoint have got a pretty good crossfire going, and I think they are going to make that assumption that they will be saving Emin going into round number 3.
Breaking news just in. Endpoint have 2 subs today because Thomas is at the Italian EPS finals. Fair play to him. And Boaster is roster locked. Obviously, the adjustment of removing Jonathan Shiki, bringing in Boaster happened only, 4, 5, maybe a week ago. Rosters were locked for the new season here. That's why Robin is standing in for him, and Cryptix is standing in for Thomas. So, back over to you.
Cheers, mate. And obviously, you know, these things happen, but, you know, so far, Endpoint with 2 subs, doesn't seem like nothing's changed so far, but it seems like now PMC will be stacking on A due to their semi-eco situation. It seems like couple members Endpoint will be going to A. And will they know that this starts sacked? Crit does manage to get one of his own. And it seems like now it's not really looking too good. As you see, MyMac does manage to get one in the end. Pulse gets another, and gets a second, shall I say. And Fasan does get one of his own. 3v1 now, and even after PMC stacked at A site, there was literally nothing they could have done. So that was great play by Endpoint there, even though they were on an eco.
3-0. After claiming the pistol, this is their reward. Not only the 3-0 start here, Lethal, but also the economy in their favour. 2 players on $6,000, Mighty Max as well onto 3,000, which gives them enough of a buffer in case they lose this buy round. They can buy up into round number 5 and try and reset the economy from PMC. But enough time already passed as they go for the high octane style of CS, charging in towards the B apartments. This is Crit. try and hold the line, but doesn't do well.
It seems like with Endpoint, there's absolutely no mucking about there, going straight onto that B site. And as you know, PMC, due to their financial situation, didn't really have too much utility to play with Batman to at least try and hold them off. But we're trying to see if PMC will try and make that play, but it seems like they might just be going for the exit frags here as they give Endpoint that B site and potentially the round as well.
Yeah. Good call here for the save from PMC. They can drop over a weapon to Crip as long as 4 players survive, and they have spotted out exactly where Emin is located. So can try and fall back, has the backup of Harry Kane and Fazan on the wing. As the ball gets passed in, back of the net, Emin secures it onto Pulse. Sorry, I just wanted to do that, it was quite fun.
That's all right, I'll let you off that one.
Yeah, bunch of frags last alive here. Obviously, those frags mean nothing, just want to have a bit of fun. 4-0, as the buy will come in again from PMC, as Harry Kane can drop over the gun to Crip. Sorry, that's so fun.
I am not going to get over that one at all, but at least with PMC, you know, they've damaged Endpoint's economy a little bit, but not too much, so to speak. But as you can see, they're both buying again. And it seems like now we're going to see if Endpoint do change the tempo a little bit. They did rush straight onto that B side completely free, but it seems like now Laza does get flashed off, does pull back a little bit, but you've got 3 members of Endpoint there just waiting. But Mymat comes from behind, had absolutely no idea, takes out 2 of his own now. And we're just going to see exactly which site with enough information to see where they play for.
5 versus 3. Harry Kane this time conveniently on the wing once again, gets the first, unable to get the second. As it falls into 1 versus 3. But there is a silver lining here for Crip. Has the bomb in his domain. But is it going to be a critical strike or a critical error? As the HE grenade is lobbed in. Doesn't really connect the splash damage he was anticipating or hoping for at least, as he may have to concede control of the bomb. As the Molotov will flush him back. Push coming in towards Kitchen. Pulse caught off guard by Emin's retreat towards Kitchen. And actually the fact he gave up the bomb really catching Endpoint off guard.
And saying that as well, I swear, Harry will probably watch this back and then change his name to Harry K, and that'll literally just put me off to anything. And of course, Mighty Max managed to finish that off. And as you see now, 5-0 to Endpoint. And the economy not looking too great for PMC at the moment. And they will be doing a Cosy buy at the moment. As you can see from the stats now, Mighty Max going 7-1, and you were talking about earlier
Rest in peace,
in the pre-game that you were talking about the
Germany now, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, right? It's literally, I'm done now. And yeah, with Mighty Max going 7-1, you're talking about his practice in the past and how he's actually progressing, but he's really showing it in this game now, which I'm quite impressed with. So, and it does seem like they will go on the pass to see if he goes any flanks. No one mid this time, so he won't be catching anyone off guard. And they will be trying to push him through connector.
Smoke in towards jungle. Going to be shrouding the vision there from the CT players to allow them to get in for the flank. Fazan completely caught with his trousers around his ankles. 4 versus 2. As the frags coincide with Endpoint's desire. As it's the 4 versus 2, the 2-man advantage. They should be able to steal this round away, but actually no one covering the bomb plant. As it's the 2 versus 2, maybe there's still life here. As eventually Leroy is taken down by the swarm of dragons. As they come in towards the A site. Was anybody expecting that?
Nah, I really wasn't at all.
They're called dragonlings or hatchlings, I think.
I think it was hatchlings,
I think it was hatchlings, yeah.
But I know everyone in the chat's going to say, nah, you're wrong. Probably am wrong, not going to lie. And we're going to see now if Crit does try and make a play for this. He will be pushing connector, but seems now to see if I find any more information. He's only on 42 HP, but he's checking jungle to see if there's anyone about, but seems like, sadly for him, there will be no one. So obviously he won't be going for that defuse and will be saving that AK.
Well, well, well. 6-0 as we head into the 7th. Salvaged AK from Crit, which he can drop over to Harry. I'm not going to say Kane because he hasn't really been. He hasn't been given a caning. He's 2 for 5. If he was doing well, then maybe I'll give him that sort of sort of name, you know, that comes with prestige, doesn't it?
Well, he scored 2 goals against Tunisia, didn't they?
2 goals to Tunisia, extra time as well, hat-trick versus Panama.
Yeah, so he just needs another 3.
5 goals. He's 5 kills and he'll be on set, wouldn't he? Anyway. 6-0. Round number 7. Orb from both Emin and Fazan. And speaking of the latter, Fazan's Orb finds the first frag in towards window. Going to try and relocate here as well, as he has given up the control towards jungle, so they can boost in towards window, maybe come with the flank, which is what he's holding for. But what is the game plan here from Endpoint? Lazza leaving B apartments, coming back in towards middle. All players here from Endpoint pretty much situated towards the mid position, which means a gap on the smoke can be taken advantage of. Fazan with the second, as it is the 2-man advantage now here for the CT side.
Sadly, that was unfortunate, but also this could be the first round on the board for PMC, but as you can see now, the Bombers in B app and they're getting to play, but sadly for them, Leroy was waiting straight for them, but Roman does get the trade, but in the end, Quick does finish the job, and finally, PMC does get that first round on the board, and now, in terms of the economy of Endpoint, they will be buying. Utility's not looking too great, but we'll just see what they can do coming into round 9. Round 8.
It's all right, mate. It's getting late. If this goes 7-1 and Endpoint reset the money here for PMC, and PMC bringing out 2 orbs as well, extremely expensive setup to run, this game could be a complete blowout once again. However, still life here for PMC. Fazan, uncharacteristic miss there with the AWP as he found 2 in the last round, trying to see if he can continue that form here into the 8th. However, Emin still scoped in, slowed and lagged down while walking around that corner towards connector means he's an easy primed target for Mighty Max. And Pulse as well catches Harry off guard. Even though Harry Kane went down there towards ramp, it was still the right play to make. His teammates died towards middle. He needs to try and get information towards ramp. He's made the right play, but unfortunately, the execution wasn't quite there. And it's a corner.
And speaking of Harry as well, literally, in his last game, he played really well, and unorthodox enough to boost that KD hits, but it seems like now, he is one of those players where it will show those inconsistencies. He's doing it at the moment, but it's still early stages, and it's that last person. And sadly for him, Lazza will be taking him out, and now 7-1 for Endpoint. So it's not looking too good for PMC so far, but it's like I mentioned before, still early days, still plenty of rounds, but soon enough they're going to need to start making this comeback.
The reset has come in full force for PMC. Deducted down onto the eco. I think this might be the end of it here, honestly, Lethal. It's 7-1 already. 8-1 now as well when we take a look at the buy as they walk into the crosshair and the Kalashnikov of Pulse. Molotov is put down. Will slow down the push, but he's spotted 3 players here, which means now Endpoint can run, waltz straight in towards the B-bomb site. They know it's completely clear because of the Pulse information relay over to his team. And now Mighty Max has found his way in towards CT possession. Kitchen is in his domain. He's saying, where is the lamb sauce? The site is theirs.
Where's the lamb sauce?
Oh my god!
Wow, even that was an eco round. Well played by Lazza there, and literally, it's just funny the fact that when Pulse dropped that molly, when all 4 were running through, they're just like, nah, not having any of that at all. Went straight back, but by then, the entire team of Endpoint knew they're all on A site stacked, pushing through ramp. So then they were just like, well, you know what, I'll just go B. Why not?
Exactly. They know the site's going to be, you know, at most 1 player there on eco as well. Very easy to trade that frag and get the site in their hands. So, very fast round coming out here from Endpoint. They're going to be changing the pace and catching PMC off guard, as already 2 early frags go in favour of the favourites. 5-3. Bomb making its way in towards A ramp. 2 players as well, managing to slip past the defense towards Millers. They have got in towards connector. Robin up close and personal, coming in from behind as well. Oh, it's the backstab! But it's the AWP that wins the rock, paper, scissors duel.
It seems like now, still got 2 AWPs, so at least they can try and make something of this. But sadly, Endpoint have got a great crossfire going. And Marty is still waiting just to see if he can find anything. Pulse is in a great position for any member of PMC to get the defuse, but it doesn't matter after all that. He peeks, finishes the last two, and even that change of tempo, you saw PMC with that double AWP play. You can tell that they're trying to change things up to see if there's any way, you know, try and get that dent in the armor for Endpoint. But I feel like now, as you spoke about before, that scoreline, I'm starting to believe you a bit more now. It could actually be a lot wider than we expected, because I feel like PMC are just running out of ideas.
Well, they've tried the double AWP setup, they've tried the heavy mid control, and so far it hasn't worked out in their favor. As they spotted 4 players towards connector, the flash over towards middle doesn't connect and doesn't blind the players from Endpoint, as there's only 1 frag collected as a consolation for PMC. 10-1 as we head into the 12th here, Lethal. And this game may as well already be finished, as the first half hasn't even concluded, and Endpoint see themselves with double digits.
They really want you to get that train home, don't they?
Let's have a think. Last train home is the 10:15, I think, and if I get that, I can get the one from King's Cross at 11:30. Do you know what?
It's not too bad, really, because you should probably DM Max after this and say to him, cheers, mate. Like, thank you very much for, you know,
kicking me from Endpoint.
So early. Yeah, as well. But he's doing you a favour now. It's basically saying, well, you know what, I feel bad, but let me at least do something for you in return. Not really much in return, though, is it, to be fair?
Oh, no, it all went in favour of, I was going to say Fazan there, but Leroy. Nearly. See what this is? You know, this is what this is. They laid a trap.
They're trying to bait us.
They've laid a trap, and they're trying to catch us off guard in the second game. They know that we're going to be, you know, intensely involved in the first one, and then, you know, your coffee wears off, your food settles in, the fatigue syndrome starts to amount, and now they've just slept this little red herring in there to try and catch us off. But production, we're too slick for that one. We're not going to be caught off guard by something like that.
Oh, definitely not. I was very close, but I saved, and you saved as well, so
exactly.
You got my back. That's perfectly fine. Exactly. And at the moment, back to the round. As you can see, PMC are man up at the moment, but Max does trade off with Eamon in the end. But Devin stands down there. Luckily, it's a decent bomb plant, but doesn't get too much damage done. So at the moment, PMC are going to try to get that retake, but Max is just literally going all in at the moment. And I was talking about his practice regimen before, and if he actually uses his hours wisely, and you can just tell from there on that his grind is definitely paid off.
Well, I'd like to think so with how long he's been on the salary. But that's the thing, though. Pickles tweeted about this actually very recently, the idea of complacency, and Pickles, a player from Endpoint, formerly Endpoint, now on Vexed, he said that he took being professional and full-time CS for granted. He didn't put in the hours into studying the demos and playing the deathmatch and being fully concentrated during practice, and he took it for granted. That can definitely happen when you finally get signed and you know you're getting paid, you know you're on the good team, where the complacency can settle in. But anyway, enough of that. That's one for the halftime break, as we still have rounds on the clock. Rounds to still be played out. Cryptics here into the 1 versus 3. Usually would be putting the chances very, very low. But a player like Cryptics can win those sorts of rounds, but today is not the day.
And I think you're right, though, because as a salaried player, it's very easy to just be in that comfortable position of actually, I wouldn't say just to dot around, but, you know, to get comfortable enough to not worry too much. Because even if you are a salaried player and you could, in air quotes, made it, you still need to work to put more of that effort into not just discuss with the financial situations, but, you know, it's all about pride of actually taking yourself further. But at the moment, Robin did get that first pick, but Echoes and Crit got one of their own at the moment. So Cryptics is trying to get another pick, but realises now that he's actually got the site free. But I think that's Echoes, who did come back to see if we are going to come. But as you know, Endpoint now rotating back to that A site.
4 versus 3. Flash comes in, connects onto both the players, trying to see if they can flood out towards A ramp, as there's a gap in the smoke as well here thrown by Endpoint. sloppy plays could be their downfall into the 14th. As with a minute left on the clock, they have time to try and feel out these next few frags, try and isolate some 1 versus 1, but the flashbang is picture perfect. Emin collects 2, puts it down into the Luzzer now into the 1 versus 3 as he isolates one player, tries to get the second, but can't quite whip it out in time. As we've all been there. As it goes into round number 15, 11-3. And the thing I wanted to touch on as well about the idea of complacency was, obviously we keep speaking about the World Cup references and football, but
that's more you. That's more you.
Okay, cool. Well, you're the one laughing as well, you know, bystander. No, I'm joking. One thing they have in football, which I think is good, is the idea of the first and second team, and the idea that you have to fight to be on that first team week in and week out. The idea of complacency isn't there.
That's absolutely right, in my opinion. And you saw from earlier, you're saying Phil instead of feed. They were feeding him and kills after that, but Luzzer now does get a quick pick of his own. Endpoint still a man up, just trying to feel out, just wait for just a bit more information to find out exactly where the members of PMC are. And well, this is quite a good spot, but sadly, Luzzer gets get flashed down. Harry does finish him off. And it seems like now Endpoint will be making that rotation again back to the A site.
Final round, final chance for PMC to gain a round of their CT side defense as Emin spots that pulse. Now they know that it is going to be Endpoint's site towards A, as the frags are so close to going in favor of Endpoint. As one does from Mighty Max onto Leroy. Puts us now into the 2 versus 2. Low HP for both Harry, Kane, and Emin. Oh, it's Kane on the wing, catches them off guard. And now into the 1 versus 1, it's Emin. But with the AWP, such an awkward scenario towards triple boxes. As we know, the AWP on the retake is so detrimental because it's not a weapon that's dynamic. You have to scope in, aim, and then shoot. The AKs are far more dynamic, the rifles are far more dynamic, and they're very good at the faster pace retakes.
It is hard just to scope in and shoot, isn't it?
Exactly.
But never mind though. Anyway, Endpoint from that first half already 12-3 up in a moment. And if they took that last round by PMC, it could have been a glimmer of hope, a slight chance maybe. But it seems like now, at this stage, going into the second half, if Endpoint, well, take this pistol round, but it's going to be theirs to lose pretty much.
I see no way in which, if they win the pistol, that they can lose this. I said that last time when it was 13-4, a couple of months ago on Cobblestone, but different team, different map, different season.
You don't want to repeat.
That's a very good point, actually. Different season, different Endpoint. That's something we've seen each and every season. They change their roster, and the outcome has been the same. Vexed, they've kept their roster between seasons. Have they improved drastically? Not really. They sort of stayed at the same level. So the argument of staying together as a 5-man core or switching players out when players have poor weeks and poor months is obviously an argument to be had after the game. However, into the action. 5 versus 3 as Endpoint have to now retake towards A.
Seems like now they are waiting very patiently in the moment. I think it was Eamon there who basically was trying to wait for the rotates, but no one came that way anyway. But I can see Mighty Max is the last person, and even with the defuse kit, there's not really too much he can do in the moment. But he's going to see if he can find anyone, but Razan just takes him out just like that. And it's like I said before, as long as PMC does take this pistol round and manages to win after the 4 spies by Endpoint,
8 more rounds, then yes.
Still, yeah, as long as they win every single round almost without fail and just like not worry about anything, then I'm sure they'll be perfectly fine. But let's be honest, you know, I'm going to be honest here. I think honesty is the best policy. It's going to be a tall order for these boys.
Tall order, indeed. As it goes to 4 for PMC. 2 Galils, 3 AKs, no investments here into the SMGs, which might be a sign of their paranoia and their lack of confidence, as everyone's gone for an AK buy. No one's had the presence of mind to go for an SMG to stack up the cash because they feel confident they're going to win the round. Everyone's gone for the firepower investment instead of the economical investment, which is obviously a telling sign, potentially. But Lazza just going to be investing into the Deagle, which means he can afford the AWP into the next buy round. Max as well just goes with the PT-50 smoke, which might signal a double AWP setup from the CT side going to the first buy round in the second half. However, it's all speculation. As right now into the present round, it's going to be the stack towards A from Endpoint. 3 players here situated close with the pistols, the 5.7s, the CZs, the P250s, as it seems like the gamble may pay off.
And I hope it does, because obviously, if PMC do lose this round, that's 3 AKs and all that utility, as well as the 2 Galils now. And I think they've got more enough information to know that PMC are going to come straight in and straight off the bat. Quick does take one, Robin manages to get one of his own, and Pulse does take out Harry Senior, but Quick gets a second, Pulse gets a second now. And so far, Quick does manage to take out 3 before he passes away, but like with Max and Pulse now, they are still around, but even now, the last man alive just manages to get that 1v2, and I will be honest with you, at that stage, I was thinking to myself that even though Endpoint went in a great spot in that 2v1, it's great to see him finish those 2 off on the stairs.
There's 7 seconds left in the round. Takes 3.5 to plant the bomb. So he actually does not have feasible time to win the round, as long as Endpoint hide. Instead, they go for a 3-2-1 peak, and they get spray transferred by Harry Kane. Unbelievable.
It is pretty unbelievable, you know. I suppose you can kind of take those risks, but I would personally myself just play for that time. But as you can see, Robin is the last member standing, is trying to play silly buggers at the moment. Trying to go for the...
Teacher, he swore!
Find.
Oh dear.
Amount of times I've heard that. And he is trying to get an exit, but what do you reckon? Do you reckon he'll get it? Literally just over his right shoulder, but you know, it was worth it, wasn't it?
I mean, $100 for a frag up close, it is pretty much worth it. It doesn't, you know, cost as much as buying Kevlar, buying the pistols. It'll save yourself some discretionary income, which we all could do. Round number 19 though, Lethal, as we head into the next buy round. AWP for Lazza, no Kevlar to back him up though, which can impact his style. Well, actually, no, he's more of a passive AWPer. He hates it when we say that, but he isn't someone who's going to charge up middle of the AWP or jump into Palace or do those sort of crazy aggressive plays. He does do it from time to time, but not on a regular basis to get those first frags. But in saying that, he is wide swinging towards short. And maybe during the player break with the months off, he's changed his style of play. As, with no Kevlar, one shot to the body will send his crosshair soaring and impact him with aim punch.
I think he was waiting for Harry to peek out at that stage, but sadly for him, for discipline from Harry, he was literally just waiting back the whole time and didn't give Lazza the opportunity to at least get that pick. But he's still waiting, but does get smoked off, but pushes through the smoke ever so slightly, but sadly doesn't get that pick, but Crit does one of his own. Robin does trade off in the end. And it seems like now, PMC going for that connector, trying to get on that A site now, which they have done. But do you reckon Endpoint will have much chance in this 2v3?
Then mind you, now that Harry sees flop the plant. Oh, but they still have the cover fire from Emin. And Lazza left now to save. As it's going to be 12-7 as we head into the 20th. Well.
You're getting flashbacks now.
Don't.
You are, aren't you, mate? You are. Just say it. You have a feeling it's happening.
The only time, there was 2 maps where I saw the safe happen a lot. It was Train during Gfinity, back when it was on Excel. Every single Train game, it felt like he was saving. And not in a bad way, not in a disparaging way, just saying, you know, in terms of play style, it is very different from other AWPers who play extremely aggressive and who will always give their frag to try and get that first pick. Whereas Luz is more of a cool, calm, collective AWPer, defensive AWPer. He's very good versus teams where they come to his bomb site and they just peek one by one. He's very strong mechanically with very good aim. And when you have good aim, you don't miss a lot. It means if you're in the right position at the right time, you can have fundamentally sound rounds. But anyway, 12-7, 5-round discrepancy between these two teams. as Endpoint's lead is slowly becoming more shallow, but they have the orb save from Luzzum, and can he play aggressive and get the first pick and try and snowball the 5 vs 4?
It seems more than doable now. Now they've got these few extra rounds, but sadly for him, Leroy managed to take him out straight away with quick following through afterwards. And again, Leroy with another pick. But it seems like now afterwards, Critics will try and get behind him on short, but Lehman does get picked off, but Leroy knows they're both fair. It's literally just make sure there's absolutely no way they can come up from this, and obviously they won't, especially with the weaponry and the utility they have at the moment. But Pos will try and get an exit if he can. Sadly, does miss Harry, and obviously Harry does come back and clean up. So, yeah, completely different from what we expected, but it's actually still quite close to your prediction earlier.
Maybe. Fingers crossed. Beginner's luck, I think it would be.
That was a fluke as well, wasn't it?
Everything. Mate, my whole life's been a fluke. 12-8. Luzza back again onto the orb. Let's see what's going to change here. Smokes from PMC. This is going to be interesting. Obviously, they know that Endpoint are opening towards connector, opening towards window, so the smokes that can quarantine the anchor, that being Robin, alone on the site, could be very effective. For Xana's misses flashbang, which is obviously a bit of a blunder, but it's Mighty Max up close. Flash comes in, the turn comes through, not going to be blind, not going to be caught off guard with those sorts of gimmicks, as the advantage now falls in the court of Endpoint, as now they make their set play that they were planning for before, with the smokes towards the A site. It's Robin alone.
And funny enough, no one from Endpoint actually rotated or fell for the bait from B side now, so does show the discipline from Endpoint at the moment, but it seems like now Lazan does take out pulse, but Lazar does get that trade, and it seems like now Endpoint, I'd probably say that's the first round of the second half, so at least they've got the point on the board, and as you can see now from the stats,
Kane.
Quick from that 19 and 14, and yeah.
They need to bring on Rashford. 65-minute mark.
Yeah, he's having a, not gonna lie, he's having a little bit of a mare. Still a few more rounds to go, but if he wants to change up anything what he's doing in terms of his play style or his tempo or what he's doing for the team, he really needs to do it now.
Stalemate so far into the early portions of round number 22. Luzza, full control towards middle here, which is a big sign for Endpoint. When there's no mid control from the T's, it means they're either stacked up towards A or stacked up towards B, so Endpoint are going to be paranoid right now about an execution or a burst set play. Instead, though, it's going to be late mid control from PMC. Luzza smokes himself off with a minute 15 left on the clock. The first shot connects. Harry Kane's down. It's a tackle, and there's no card given.
Oh, you know what? These jokes are never going to end, are they?
Look, mate, it's coming home.
Well, I hope so, considering, like, how many teams out now? Like, we're actually
I don't know. I don't actually follow football, just be watching the World Cup. That's literally it.
Well, to be fair, you know your stuff considering it's the only one you watch, but yeah, funny enough. But anyways, Endpoint now with that two-man advantage. Ever since they got that first round, they get into the swing of things. They gave around so many rounds, I think 5 rounds uncontested until Endpoint did get first one on the board. Yeah,
it's a good point. However, many of those rounds were snowball ones. You know, the pistol round, that's 3 rounds.
True.
The first buy round means there's ecos. We saw 2 saves from Endpoints. That's 3 rounds. That's already 6 rounds gathered back, isn't it? So
maybe, what was it, only 1 or 2 full buys probably? Something like that?
Exactly. So Luzza, once again, in his prime. Players walking into his scope. 14-8. Round number 23, and the cash is looking fairly barren here from PMC as 2 players probably can't afford to even buy fully.
That's a skill, isn't it, when you just sit there and people walk into your scope, isn't it?
He is good. Like, this is the thing. We're not being disparaging of Luzza. He's a very, very good AWP. It's just the fact that I wanted to talk about play styles, and, you know, people will think that we're being very negative when we say that he's constantly saving, whatever, but he's a very, very skilled player, and when someone comes into his scope, he very, very rarely misses. But that means versus certain teams, he can struggle to get an impact. However, versus other teams, he can be extremely effective.
I guess it depends on different teams' play style, which I completely understand. It seems like now, PMC definitely suit the play style for how he wants to play with the AWP, and it seems like PMC will be able to get onto the site. They are spamming through to see if they can get any damage done, but Pulse is waiting for the push through CT, which they do. Does manage to get one, gets a second, but sadly doesn't get that third on Leroy, and it seems like now even is trying to do everything he can. Managed to take out one anyway, but there's two more around that corner. Gets one anyway, but Mighty Max does get the trade. Leroy does take him out, but Robin again with the final trade. And it's not looking too good ever since Endpoint got that first point on the board on CT.
7 match points then for Endpoint to finish the job on Mirage. Potential for one last hurrah from PMC. This is going to be the triple Glen investment, backed up by the 2 AKs from Emin and Leroy. In terms of utility, it's so bleak. Only one flashbang for Kane. No additional time as well added after the 90-minute mark, which means PMC have to get the job done now. There's no more room for error.
And you can't really say how he sees he's coming home, because he's already at home. He's playing online, he's fine.
Whee!
Not a problem at all, but Crit is the last man standing. Mighty Max finishes the job. And funny enough, I think that was very similar to the scoreline you predicted, I think. So you did say like 16-7, 16-9.
What was the score?
Like
16-9.
16-8.
Smack bang in the middle, mate.
Mate, this is why you're here. This is why you're next to me, because at least I know your predictions are actually okay.
Hopefully. We'll see how it does go for the remainder of the evening. Obviously, the next matchup, Vexed versus Royals. A matchup which could deliver the goods, you know, be that overtime game, be that 16-14 game that we've been hoping for, as surprisingly casting